All right, Coach. Rio is right on the horizon, and Julia Vincent will be diving for South Africa, representing her native country, and of course the Gamecocks.
Mm.
Fourth time that a student athlete that you have trained has competed at the Olympics. What makes Julia special? And of the athletes that you've coached, especially recently, what
Mhm.
is it that she brings to the table that elevates her and makes her a special talent?
Yeah, well, they're all special, of course. I think that the things unique about her, from an athletic standpoint, is she's actually a combination of two phenomenal divers I've had the pleasure to work with in the past. And one was Allison Brennan, the other one was Michelle Davison, who Michelle was an Olympian, Allison wasn't. But Allison had a lot of grace about her diving. She's very classy looking, where Michelle had a lot of power. And you take those two and put them together, and you get Jules. And so it's exciting to me because I don't think I've ever been in this position going to an Olympics where I had an athlete that had that kind of a combo and the potential to really go there and do extremely well. So that makes her a little bit unique. And the other thing too is her temperament. She's extremely competitive, but you would never know about talking to her. She's somewhat a little bit quiet, but she really competes like a lion. I mean, she gets out there and just can do stuff you don't even see in practice. And I like that aggressiveness about her. And I think that makes her kind of unique. And plus, as a coach, you know more than you did 5, 10 years ago, hopefully. And a lot of the mechanical aspects of diving and some of the styles that we see around the world, been able to have that opportunity to learn it and to incorporate that in her. So that to me also makes her unique. So I think some of the stuff that she does technically in diving, her air, the way she moves to the water, makes her a little bit special from the kids I've had in the past because she's able to execute that technique.
You've been a primary coach at the University of South Carolina for 2 collegiate seasons now, and on almost a daily basis, training with her. Talk about the progress. What have you seen from her from the day she arrived before her freshman season to now, 2 years into her collegiate career, and also appearing on the biggest stage in the entire sport?
Well, there's been a lot of growth. Just mechanically and all the technique you put into kids, and she's made change after change after change after change. And that's probably pretty much the earmark of any phenomenal athlete is their ability to make the changes. And so she's made that. But, as a lot of athletes will make mechanical changes, there's a whole mental game and how they view themselves, how they see themselves. And I have found that especially a lot of the really great athletes have a tendency to be hard on themselves. They drink out of their own reflection, I call it, and they self-analyze. And so the biggest, I think, increase in improvement in her is getting her not to do that. And because sometimes I'm very satisfied with something where she may not be. And so we've really made a lot of progress in that area. So I think that her belief factor that she can go out and accomplish these things is now going through the roof. And so that excites me about her. And I think that's probably, if I'd say, the biggest change I've seen in her is the fact that she knows that she can dive with anybody in the world now. She needs to put it together, but at least that her practice level has gotten her place to where she's going to do extremely well if she puts it together there.
You and I have talked a lot, especially towards the end of the collegiate season, about how many high stakes events that Julia had to dive in about a 2.5 month window between SEC championships and the World Cup, where she achieved the qualifying score for Rio, and then zones, and then NCAAs, and then not too long after that, transitioned into South African Nationals, which of course were the Olympic trials. Since then, since that big, hectic schedule, you guys have had a few months without a ton of competition, and I got to think that that's been fruitful. What are the things that you've seen from her and that you guys have worked on to make sure that she's peaking now that you've had a 2 or 3 month window of mostly just training and not a ton of high stakes events?
Well, we're very thankful for that. It was a very difficult season for us to figure out exactly how to train for that many competitions. Never had anybody I've ever trained since I've been coaching that ever went to that many major competitions back to back, on top of the distance and travel. That's also something that makes her extremely unique. And so we plan to come out of that with getting to a kind of a sustained level of diving. In my mind, a possible peaking even at the Olympic trials. And so when we were at conference and then zones and NC2As, we were pretty much there. We had to be able to keep that peak on. And so we were able to do that. So in saying that, that time to be able to make those changes was phenomenal. I had some stuff where, when you're coaching somebody, it's not like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg, except you have situations where you've got to kind of do something else to get a good result. That gave us the time to go in and make some serious corrections. We had to do some serious line work to get her in the water cleaner. We had to do a lot of changing on her mechanics on her front and inward actions. We had to add 2 new dives. One of them wasn't really new, but the other one is, and be able to go to the Olympics and compete them at a high level. So where we are right now is exactly where we need to be. We've got an inward 2.5 tuck, and we have a inward 2.5 pike, and whichever dog hunts the best down there, that's the one we're going to use. And I wouldn't rule out using both of them. One of them is probably more of a finals dive, and other one maybe is more of a prelims. But it's one of those things with her, you just don't know till you get there. We've trained them both, and we'll see which one we want to use. And sometimes it's nice to have some options because you never know. You're down in Rio, it could rain. It's not like it's hot down there right now. People don't realize that. That's not their 105 degrees like it is here. I think they're down in the 70s some this week. So we're preparing for a little bit cooler atmosphere. And if there's some rain or so what, then we're going to be ready for that.
For you personally, this will be your 4th Olympics, Julia being your 4th Olympian, and they've come at 4 separate competitions. You've had a tremendous amount of success as the head diving coach here at South Carolina. You've had SEC champions, an All-Americans, a national champion, and now you're going back to the biggest stage in the entire sport for the 4th time. For you personally and professionally, what does it mean for you? And now as the head coach of the South African team, so an official member of the delegation, what does it all mean for you? I got to think it's very rewarding.
Yeah, it is, and it's everything's kind of a journey too. I mean, when you start out in coaching, you don't think that will come as far as it has, so you look back through your life and you see how everything just kind of fell into place, but you worked hard and you got the right talent and you stayed with it and you got there. And so once you get there, you ever wonder if you ever be there again. And so I really wasn't looking to get to another Olympics per se, but it's happened again. And to have a door open through another country to coach their country at the highest level meet in the world is an honor in itself, and surprising at that. But I think the thing that really probably is most special to me about the Olympics is the journey of the kid that got there. Being with Jules when she made the Olympic team, when she won the trials, was a huge thing for me to see a dream unfold right in front of you for somebody, and to have a part in painting that picture is an honor. And so I consider it more of a high honor than anything to have this opportunity to be down there and to have the ability to work with someone as special as Jules. So it's very rewarding. And then you always go and say, well, this is going to be my last one, and I'm not going to say that because I really don't know, but I'm going to treat it like it is my first and my last one.
Because you've done it 4 times now, you've seen 3 different times before what the Olympic experience is like, and all the pitfalls that can come for an athlete who is competing on this stage. It's a multi-sport deal. There's people from all over the world. There's probably a much larger media horde than there is for a normal meet. And to be there with another first-timer in Julia, what are some of the things that you can do to make sure that she can block as much of that out as possible, and like you said, peak at the right time at the Olympics?
Well, I think you have to prepare for training scenarios. Like I was saying, you have to know something about where you're going. So we were down there in February. We knew a lot about, for example, like a lot of the divers were doing their dives and then were going back into kind of like the bathroom area and then coming out and doing their dives. Well, they were going out to sunlight to dark to sunlight to dark. You can't do that. And so there's one of the things that we knew when we were there. We didn't do it when we were there, but that's one of the things you pick up. There's a lot of media. The food's different. You don't know how well you're going to sleep. The time zone's a little bit different. And so the Olympics is more than just going and competing. I mean, you have to go and adapt to another country and get on their schedule, and then you're operating and practicing around other sports times. I know that water polo, I think, uses our pool, or maybe it's synchronized swimming, I'm not sure, but we have to share the time with that. So our workout times are maybe not going to be as long as they normally are, and they may be really crowded. And so that's one of the things that we prepared for before we got down there. We talked about that. The other thing is that if you're not used to diving with large crowds around you, the collegiate circuit is one circuit that you want to be in, because that puts you in the big crowds. That puts you with TV in your face. Conference is the same way. And so that helped prepare us for this day. And the other thing is that in the prelim situation, collegiately, you have large numbers of kids. Well, you got large numbers of kids down there at the at the Olympics, and so you're prepared for that. So we try to take as much as we can, even down to the fact that we needed to. We found out that they were putting brand new boards on down there. They had boards on there at the World Cup, but some black stuff got on them. I didn't really have the story, but they're replacing all of them, so they have brand new boards down on there. Well, when you take a brand new board out of the box, it's not like a board that's been broken in by 100 guys jumping on it. So we got 4 new boards here at the school for next year, and so we popped one out of the box and we put it on the board to give her that opportunity to be on a brand new board before she gets down there. So those are the things that you do. I think a lot of it, and this is true with any athlete, athletes feed off the coach, negatively and positively. I think the good thing about being here this many times is giving me the experience to not be afraid in the meet or not be nervous in the meet. To be, hey, we can do this. It's like anything else. This is just another meet. And I think that you have to come across like that, or the athlete can get a little jittery. But then again, you go sometimes and a person's just on cruise control, and they've worked their lives for this, and they go out and they just make it happen. And either way, I'm going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
Last one for you, and we'll ask Julia the same thing when we talk to her. But ultimately, what are your goals for Julia at the Olympics, and what's it going to take for her to achieve those goals?
I think that my goal for her is that she would be able to compete freely. And I'm explaining that, I mean, when you're able to get in an event or any athletics that you're doing, and you're able to execute what you want your body to do, and you did it because you were, you're pumped up and stuff, but you weren't nervous, you weren't afraid, there wasn't anything mentally holding you back from being able to execute. And I think that's a big thing with any, and once she enters into that realm, I really know that we're going to see something special out of her. She's due, that's all I can say. She is absolutely due for a 3-meter performance to connect. And when it does, it's going to be good. And from what I've seen in the pool, if I took all of her dives and I put them out there, I'll put her up there against the rest of the world any day, and we'll see how it ends up. But I think that if she goes and puts together a good meet, I think she's going to find a panel behind her. She is someone that is known but unknown. And I think that would be wonderful for her to just sit up there and compete and crack that top 12. And I know that if she gets into that position, it's going to be lights out. And so she's capable of doing that. And that's something that's an achievement in itself. Because you go to a lot of meets and you got different levels of athletes, and you're going to only do what you can do. But this is something that like I say, she's due.
It's an exciting time, and I know everybody in Columbia is proud of you and proud of Julia, and will be rooting you on the entire Olympiad. So best of luck to you, and we'll talk to you after it's all over, Coach.
All right, thanks.